One second. Let's give one of this. Plastic. Yeah, olive oil here. You keep olive oil or something here.
Olive spray.
No, butter a little bit. Several butter पड़ा है देखिए. बटर पड़ा है ना? ले गया नीचे से. स्टोर में रखा. छोटा सा लिया कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. Scraper.
Big, small?
Don't start up. When we started? Can you give me my leaf?
No.
That's the problem when you start a new bigger loaf, no? It takes time to cool.
Yeah.
Then you reheat the, have to heat the oven at 30 degree. And I have to put, oh yeah, see this one. Just put it on. Just open it. Just give me a minute, okay? Now, what's the time now? What's the time now?
210.
Very good. Now, give me 1 minute. ready. A very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Niklesh, and today I'll be showing you how to make a bread, a soft roll dough which is rich in nature, but we'll be using a filling of pesto. This is a tomato pesto. I've taken a sun-dried tomato pesto and cheese into that. So, last time when we took a class with you on the bread part, I told you that in order to make a simple bread, we need only 4 ingredients, which is flour, water or any kind of liquid, salt is there, and your yeast is there. Now in this case, in this recipe, I'm using some eggs, some sugar, some butter, okay, and for the filling I'm using some, let's say example, in this case I'm using sun-dried tomato pesto, I'm using cheese. But in case, let's say example, you do not have a sun-dried tomato pesto, you can just remove it, use it as any other filling, maybe caramel, okay, maybe a custard, okay, a normal pastry cream with any kind of filling inside will work out very good. So just to start the recipe in a simple way, last time I told you how to use the machine. So this time we will be actually working it out a simple way. I'll be using the flour. I use a strong flour, which has a high gluten, which is actually needed to make a bread dough. In case you're using, let's say example, some of the people are asking me, is all-purpose flour is good or a low-gluten flour is good? No, a low-gluten flour is actually used to make sponges and not to make a bread. Same way, our all-purpose flour, let's say example, again the gluten content is not as good what is required to make a bread, so a strong flour is actually needed. My second ingredient I added is yeast in that. Okay, I'll be taking sugar and I'll be taking milk. Most of the time, people say, I don't know is this recipe correct or not. In my case, because I've been making this recipe a lot of time, so I exactly knows that the recipe is perfectly fine. But in case I'm doing any recipe for the first time, what I do is that I do not add all my liquids in that case. In that case, maybe I'll be using about 70-80% of liquid, and then while the dough is going on, that's the time I'll be actually adding it up. What I mean to say is that you take the dry ingredients, let's say example, you take the yeast, you take the flour, let's say example, you take the eggs. But in case I'm using the milk or water, I will start with about 70-80% of the liquid, and then slowly I try to have a look how the dough is coming up, and then I try to incorporate the water or the liquid inside that. So all my 4 ingredients are there. If you actually have a look, I'm not adding the salt, I'm not adding the butter. These two, butter and flour, are for different parts. So if you try to have a look, cheese and sun-dried tomatoes pesto is actually for the filling, and butter I'll be adding later on. Why? I tell you the reason. Salt also a little bit later. Now, last time Angelo was also taking the class, and he told you that when you make a dough with a fat, let's say example, I try to make the dough first, get a little bit of mixing done, get a little bit of not the full amount, but little bit of gluten get develops, not a full amount but little bit, and then later part I will be adding in. In case you want to have a look, this machine is a little bit different, but in case I can manage to get it. Just to let you know that my oven is already preheated. Okay, it's already preheated about 175 degree, because whenever I make a bread, make sure, okay, your oven is always preheated, especially in the case of pastry. In the case of bread, you know that you make the dough first, you do the shaping, you leave the dough for proving and all kind of a thing. In that case, you can always preheat the oven at a later time. But of course, the point is that by the time any of your product, be it bread or cookies or cake, anything which is supposed to go in the oven should be already preheated. Okay, I'll be using these two ones just to show you. I'm just spraying it with some kind of thing, but please have a look in this part. This is my kind of a mold. I will also show you how does it look like when you use a different kind of a mold, but it doesn't make a difference what mold you're using. It totally depends on how big is the dough which is supposed to go inside the mold, and then we talk about the proportion. You must be having a thing why I'm using this butter or this extra flour. That flour is for dusting when I'll be actually rubbing my dough inside. Okay, when I shape it up that time, and the butter is actually when your bread is done, I will be brushing it with the melted butter. But in case you want to brush your finished bread, because it's a soft roll base, a rich dough, in case you want to brush it with the olive oil, you can do that with that part also. So these two molds are ready for some time. I'll be having a look later on. Now let's start to see the dough right now. If you see, the dough is not fully done. Okay, can you see this part? Let me have a look on this one out now. If you try to have a look of the dough like this, it's dry, okay, it's not fully mixed up. Last time, remember I told you that you can actually make the dough by hand also. Only thing is that it takes time. Let's say example, if I try to do by hand, it actually takes time. But if you try to see that the dough is already in a little bit of a form, of course it's not ready right now. It's not even homogeneous, not even binding together. And I know that I'll be using some fat into that part. So I put it back in the machine, let's say example. But what I will do this time now is that I will take a little bit of a fat. Okay, I'll be taking a little bit of a fat from this one and I'll be adding it slowly. This fat, when I will be adding, I will not add all of this, but this fat when I'm using up, if you see, it's soft. If you try to have a look, the fat is soft. I didn't melt it, it's not too hard, because I actually want that the consistency of the fat, what I'm using inside is that should be equal to the consistency of the dough. I will reduce the speed a little bit just to have a look. Now, while this dough is making it, okay, we're not going to stop because I already have a dough with me. Okay, I only have a dough with me, so I will show it to you and I will keep on making this dough and finally will show you how this dough looks like. I have another dough with me, okay, which I'll show you what kind of a thing I'm looking at. Once this dough is ready, I will be wrapping it and I'm putting in the chiller for some time. I'm not going to use this dough straight away because whenever the dough is done, you have to give it some rest to develop a little bit, so the gluten actually which is forming up, okay, inside, which also gets some time to redevelop in a proper way. So can you just give me the dough? Meanwhile, I will also show you that how it looks like. See now, it's a little bit more sticky, but it's still coming up. As I say, I'm not going to use the entire butter in this. I will wait for the time being, and only when already have a ready-made dough, so I will also show you how this dough looks like. But meanwhile, while it's going on, since we go live and we don't have much time to wait for the dough to work out, why don't we use this time in a much better way? I make this dough about 2 hours back. This is my dough. Okay, now just let you one more thing in this case. When I make this dough, there are two ways. Once I make a plain dough and I use the filling inside. Second way is that I can add some of the filling inside the dough, which I will be doing here also. I'll show you how do I do that, so you get some of the flavor of the cheese as well as the pesto, the sun-dried pesto. Okay, actually comes in this also. Okay, just to let you know. So this dough is already there. I had some flour for dusting, and we see this part here how we can use it out. If you try to see this dough, it's not too soft, but it's a very stable one. By hand I press it, or I can actually press it like this. Just give me a little bit of a way that my dough is not going out of my hand. It's right in that part kind of thing. And in case when you're using a fresh dough, you know, it tries to shrink back too fast. But this dough will take a little bit longer time to do that kind of thing. Have a look, please. See how I try to soften my dough very softly. This practice when we work in the hotel or in the professional kitchen, of course we have dough sheeters, so we use that part. But again, it's not a rocket science, it's very easy to do. You can do it at your hand. You can easily do by your hand, but you should be able to keep in mind that what exactly you want to achieve. I'm looking for a rectangle kind of a dough, but I'll have a look that how do I want to achieve my rectangle. Do I want it like this way or do I want it this way? So I'll show you what exactly I'm looking for. So this method of rolling a dough gives a very versatile way of working it out, because you can do many different shapes also in this case. And we like to have a look at. Now if you see this part is going like this, so what I do, I relax my dough, bring a little bit. Manually I try to make it a rectangle one. Okay, now I see that part, my dough sometimes doesn't move, right? And I'm doing it. It doesn't move because too much on top. Now it will move. Please mind it that my salt is still, I have not put in my dough. So what I'll do is that, in a second. Now meanwhile, I'll give this few seconds of rest and we'll try to see what is the shape of the dough which is coming up right now. If you try to have a look right now, the butter is on both the sides, right? So what I'll do is that I scrape all this butter or fat from the dough. I put it back, but what I'm getting right now is that the dough is more softer. Of course, you know, whenever you actually, please try to understand that whenever you try to add a fat to a dough at this stage, what happens, you form a little kind of a body, a little kind of a gluten. The dough is too tough. So what happens when you actually add any kind of fat into that, it will thin it out, it will loosen up. But because you keep on mixing it, okay, because you're keeping on mixing it, the gluten will form and the dough will actually come back. In this stage right now, let's say example, I will add my third part of butter also. This time I'll go a little faster, not too fast, but a little faster as compared to the first one. Now this also give me a little time for this dough to relax. Okay, see now, it's more relaxed right now. At this stage, I will put myself on the close by. At this stage, you should be able to know how big is the dough, what you're making, what is the shape, and how you will be retaining the shape. So now, let's check it out. Please make sure that it's all in the same part now. You see this part now? You want to trim it. Let's say example, some people say, oh, I want to trim it. It's up to you. Let's say example, you want to trim it. Just to make it a little bit more cleaner. There's nothing wrong into that part, okay? You want to trim the side a little bit. Just to give it a very clean edge. There's nothing wrong, you can always do that part. Now I have some paste here. Let's say example. If you ever feel that this paste is, do not worry about it's too thin or kind of a thing, I say, there is already some tomato pesto inside the dough, right? So do not worry about it that it has to be too much. You just try to give it a little bit of a flavor by adding something into that part, okay? You can add extra also, but again, do not try to make your dough too moist, okay? Let's say example, you have some cheese here. Please do not forget that I have only added some cheese in the starting in the dough itself. Remember I told you? While this is going on, let me also show you how the dough looks like in the machine. The dough is getting soft. Can you see this now? I can show you here. It's not ready, but it's getting soft. Okay, but it's soft. But if you try to see, it's tearing off. This is what we don't want. Okay, it doesn't have to be super scratchy. It doesn't. You don't want literally a very clean window kind of thing. But yes, it's good that at least it's bind together. It doesn't tear off. Okay, at this stage, if you feel that there is some butter which is on the side, just take it out, put it inside, so that all this can be done. Again. At this time, I will add my salt also inside that. Okay, now remember I told you two things in the past. Either the dough is plain, okay, and you use it as a filling like I'm doing it. But in this dough, what I've used is what? It's a dough which already have the filling, but I'm also putting the filling inside. Now, okay, I bring it here. Now, in order to ensure that this actually sticks, what I do is that I make this part a little more thinner. I push it like this. Okay. So what happens? I stretch my dough and go inside. this dough you actually can freeze. Okay, now just to have a look that this dough you can actually freeze, but I will show you actually what can you make out of this dough. You do one of the bread. Okay. Rob, can you get my bread please? Outside in the room. You do not have to clean this part. Okay, there is no use to clean this part, but in case you want to clean it just for trial basis, let's say example, I say let's clean it up. Again, as I said, first thing, in a normal way, I will freeze it. Okay, normal way, I will freeze it. I just make this bread right now, and it looks like this. Do not worry about the mold. I use my mold, whichever mold you can use it. So if you see, I try to get something like this way, okay? And if you try to have a look, that I got one more thing inside. I got something like this. It's nothing. It's the trimming which I cut. I just put in a mold. I do not waste it. Okay? Now, one is that if this is the mold I'm using, I try to see how big is the mold. So I don't want to go bigger than the mold, but I take it a little bit smaller than the mold. So this is the size. So if you see, my mold size is this big, right? This is the size. But my bread, I took it from smaller than the mold. Okay? So what I do is that I cut my bread like this. I want to repeat again that normally I do not do it with a fresh one. I try to give it a rest. Okay? But this dough, since it's already made earlier, I can work out. Now, what is the second part? The second part is that I will be cutting it in the middle. See now. I do not cut the two edges, I cut this part. I make a deep insert. I go deep, but I go straight. And I go straight till the time this thing doesn't touch the base. I'm actually separating it. This part again. I go till the time that so I can actually see the two parts get separated, fully separated. If I feel that some part is not separated, okay, please do not worry at all. You can separate it. And what you do is that you take it out like this. You take it out like this. Very easy, very simple. You can't do something wrong into that part. Pick up your dough. This is what you got. Okay, now this is one part of it. Can you give me a small tray from that with a silpat or something? Any small tray with a silpat? Okay, now let's say example, I have a mold, so I show you how to make it in a small mold. But in case, small one, yeah. If you try to have a look, you want to use silpat, you can use silpat. You want to use direct, perfectly fine. Okay, I can actually use this part, and it comes like this. If you see this one, it actually comes like this. You can put it like this, and straight away roll it like this. You can put in a ring. But the good part is that I let it open up slowly. I am not going to waste this also. Okay. So this, in case you leave it outside, it will be proving like this. But in case you put in this one, you can actually bake. No, after proving it just looks like this one. If you make a bigger one, actually it proves more bigger, and it will be taking the shape of the mold. Okay, so this is perfectly fine right now. Meanwhile, I will be leaving it for you guys to have a look, so that you can actually see how does it looks like, the normal one, the true one. In case, let's say example, in this recipe, I have used the tomato pesto. You can use basil pesto also, but in case you don't want to use any of the savory filling and you want to use let's say example, a sweet filling, what you can do is that you can take your pastry cream, you can add your cocoa powder in the pastry cream, cocoa powder or a little bit of almond powder into that, make a nice paste, and you can spread that also. You can spread caramel into that or Nutella into that, and then you can get the same effect. Okay, now if you try to have a look now, I'm setting the oven for my next bread. Meanwhile, if you try to have a look at the dough right now, this is the dough I've got. Now remember I told you that this dough is perfectly fine, but let's try to see. I am not looking too much of stretchability, but what I can see is that it's still getting up, but I can see some kind of unevenness in this one. That means I have to do it a little bit more. So I will do a little bit more, but this time I will add a spoon of the pesto just to get the effect into that. Okay. I can add a little bit of my cheese into this one just to get the same color, this example. But putting this much is totally up to you, that how much you want to put. You want a flavor in the dough or you want a flavor in the filling. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll take this one. It's okay. You can actually check the dough now, how it looks like. It's coming out very nice. It's binding up together perfectly good. I do not want to add cheese on top of my dough. Let's example, if I add cheese on top of the dough, what happens is that the problem is that okay, the cheese will be burning. So I always prefer the cheese to be inside the dough. In case you prefer, I brush it a little with the butter so that it doesn't dry out too much. Not too much. And I'll wait for the oven to be there. stretch hold with it. This is the bread. I just want to get all the part. Now I will be using butter for this on the top also. This time I can use extra butter with that part. Okay. In case you like butter, you can always do a nice butter coating in this part out. I'll be using these two bread to go to the oven. In the oven, I normally use about 170 degree, but if in case you're not using the big one, you're only making the small one, I'd rather go for about 190 degree for about 8 to 9 minutes time, and then I see if I need it. I don't go for 170, 175. If I make a bigger loaf, then the temperature will go from 190 to about 170, 175. So always make the point that when you're making a small one, can you give me this? You can check it out if your bread is easy to come out or not. Just for example, it's perfectly fine. You can rest it for some time, but in case, let's say example, you want to see how the impact. It's a fresh bread, I will not be cutting, but just to show you guys, to see how the inside part looks like, I can actually show you how the impact is there. You have a look. I can still cut a bigger part for you guys. I don't have to do that. But normally I don't cut the first bread, but just to show you that how the bread looks like from the middle part. This example. And coming back to the dough, you can also now see how does this loaf looks like. You can actually see the dough now. It's nice, smooth kind of a thing, which is perfectly fine. In case, let's say example, give me a small tray. Small tray. In case, let's say example, you just don't want anything, okay? Let me show you a few pieces of this one, in case you don't want it. It's a beautiful method to make the same bread at home without too much of complication. I will not be showing you how does it look like after proving, but I'm sure you all can try out at home in a more simple way, but the process is very easy and not so difficult. Please mind it, for the live demo, it's an extra shape I'm showing it to you. So main thing is not, okay, how does it look like, but what is the process. Let's say example, thinking that all of them are of the same size. What I do is that, ideally you do this after about 15-20 minutes time when the dough is actually soft. Okay, so you know what I'm doing. Can you guys see this? I keep a very thick this part. You can do this at a later stage also, but it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong in this one. When you give it out, okay, if you try to see, it's not so difficult, right? But yes, in order, because I'm doing a live, so I can do it right now, but in a normal stage I will rest it for some time, about 15-20 minutes. This dough become a little bit loose, and then when I do it, it's easy to give this shape, but it's perfectly fine because I'm doing it slowly. What I do, I try to go from center to the side. Now, once I do that, remember the first one, because in this few seconds, this one must have got some kind of resting, right? So it's more easy and relaxing to do that kind of a thing. You can easily give it a little rest, and then you can go on the side of this. I don't go to the entire edge, but only on the inside edge of the dough. I can actually I have a little bit left out, so I thought why not I show you how to use it. Then filling is up to you. You can add little filling or no filling, that is totally up to you. I don't. Okay, and actually I can add some cheese into this one. Do not worry, when you prove it out, actually it will become exactly like a same dough what you're looking at. So if you try to have a look now, what we have done today is that we realize how to make this shape, how to do this one, and the same dough, if you roll it, how to work out this one. I would also like to know, because looking at a live demo, I would like to show how this bread looks like in the middle of the baking, so at least you can have a look. So since we are doing, it's only for the live demo, I can show you how the bread looks like in the middle part of that. You see, it's not fully baked. So what I'll do is that I will take a little bit of more butter one more time, because butter, it will not go wrong. Please understand that the color of the bread is up to you, what color you like to have it. Okay, even if I put a little bit extra in this stage, I don't mind it, but it's just because of the shape I was telling you. So I did a little bit of you see this, if in the first few seconds, let's example about first 8 to 9 minutes, this is the kind of a shape it will be coming out in the oven. I hope you have a good learning. In case you have any further question, please do not let us know, because I'll be proving it further and baking it for my own use. And thank you very much, and have a very nice evening to everyone. Just to let you know, right after this, me and Chef Otto is World Pastry Champion 2019. We're having a little bit of a talk on Insta Live today at 3 o'clock, right after the demo. In case you're interested, I'll see you there. Thank you very much, and have a very nice evening.